So welcome along to Better.com's preview for this weekend's Premier League matches. We are going to be looking at two standout matches over the weekend. They both happen to be derbies. One of them is the Merseyside derby between Everton and Liverpool. The other is the North London derby between Tottenham and Arsenal. Rob, let's start at the Merseyside derby first, Everton-Liverpool. The odds suggest that Liverpool are the favourites. Is that right?
I think you consider Liverpool slight favourites because in these derby matches where it gets heated, the proverbial form book is thrown to one side, it really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But Everton are only slightly behind the odds at 3.15, and Liverpool in at favourites at 2.56, and the draw's in at 3.3. So, you know, there's not really much to separate the two sides in terms of the odds. But on paper, you'd have to back Liverpool, I think, for the amount that they've spent over the summer months. The way they've started the season has been quite impressive, although they did have that slip up at White Hart Lane, didn't they?
Yeah.
They lost to Tottenham 4-0.
Of course, yeah. So now, Everton have been struggling a little bit this season. We say, where will they find goals from? And especially in a Merseyside derby, the fans will want to see their team, especially at Goodison Park, deliver. Will they struggle a lot more this weekend against Liverpool?
Well, in terms of goals, obviously, they do lack that striker, don't they? They've brought in striker Lurcy. Valios has scored once since it's come on. But Lewis Hart has not been entirely reliable this season because of injuries and other personal problems. But Tim Cahill's the man who I think could make a difference. And although he picked up an injury last week against Man City, apparently he's recovered from that, and he'll be a key player for Everton, I think, this weekend.
And that's a major boost for manager David Moyes, isn't it?
A massive boost for him, because he's the sort of player who can make a difference for Everton in this situation.
Now, these kind of games, we tend to see so many red cards handed out throughout the years. What are the odds on another red card being brandished in this game?
I certainly wouldn't rule it out, I'd just say that.
Now, with that game being played, if that wasn't enough for you in terms of a derby, there's the North London derby on Sunday between Tottenham and Arsenal at White Hart Lane. Now, Spurs are the heavy favourites for this match, aren't they?
Well, they are, and I think that's right as well, with the way Arsenal have started the season. 2 wins from 6. I mean, it started the season dreadfully, some terrible results. It's the 8-2 at Old Trafford. You know, that was a result which forced Wenger to go out and spend a bit of money in the transfer window. Did he panic buy though? That's the question.
I was going to ask you, what do you make of the signings? It does almost seem like panic buys, having seen Cesc Fabregas and Sami Nasri leave to be replaced by the players he brought in. Do you think they're worthy replacements? Do you think he could have done better?
Well, I think given the time frame he had to operate in, they're fair signings, but if he'd perhaps sold them earlier, then perhaps he could have brought in some better players. But, you know, you wouldn't complain as an Arsenal fan with Arteta in midfield, would you? Yeah. Even though he's getting on a little bit, he's still got that class to his game, still make a difference, and he could make a difference this weekend.
He's been the best. He's been the pick of the players so far that Wenger's brought in, hasn't he? Yeah,
definitely. He's got that class about him, hasn't he, in midfield, where he can, you know, spot a pass. Yeah. You know, he's got a couple of goals already. But I think this weekend, the game focuses on one man only, and that's Tottenham striker Emmanuel Adebayor.
Now, we know what happened the last time he came up against Arsenal. For those of you that don't remember, when he was playing for Manchester City, he scored at one end of the field, and he decided to run, 80, 90 yards to the other side where the Arsenal fans were sitting to celebrate his goal, even though he had so many things thrown at him. A chair missed him and bottles and all things missed him. Do you think he will score this credit? Surely it's written
in the stars
for him to do it.
I think it probably is, and he started very well as well. He scored 2 against Liverpool, didn't he? You know, he looks a real handful against anyone that he's up against. He's been criticised a lot in the past, but you know, a player goes on to play for a club like Real Madrid and scores goals there. And you can't rule him out from being a success at Tottenham either. And perhaps Harry Redknapp will look to bring him on a permanent deal after his loan spell runs out as well.
Now, Harry Redknapp has been talking about how when Adebayor does get booed, he finds it disgusting that, you know, a footballer is treated the way he is. Arsenal fans are not going to, you know, not boo him because
they're going to make it a very, very hostile atmosphere for him this weekend. And rightly so, you know, the way he's acted in the past, but I think that's going to be the main talking point after the weekend finishes. Now,
Adebayor was fined for doing his celebration. If he did something similar like that, do you think he will do it again? Do you think he's got that in the back of his mind, knowing what happened in the past, what it could do to aggravate the Arsenal fans as well?
I think perhaps this time if he scores, he'll be a little bit more dignified with his celebrations.
Now, I think in that situation it was a special circumstance. Let's Let's hear what the Arsene Wenger, the Arsenal manager, thinks of the situation, whether he thought it was a special circumstance or not.
No, because I feel it was under very special circumstances.
Now we've heard what Arsene Wenger thinks of Adebayor. Now Arsenal's defence has been a constant talking point throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
Against Olympiacos the other night in the Champions League, they conceded a goal from, once again, sloppy defending. Their 4-3 defeat at Blackburn was as a result of sloppy defending.
Yeah.
They cannot afford to be as poor defensively in this game, can they?
Certainly not, especially at White Hart Lane, where you know any defensive mistakes will be punished by the likes of Van der Vaart, Modric, Adebayor. I mean, they'll be all too keen to capitalise on any sort of defensive mistakes that Arsenal might make. But Mertesacker, how do you think he started his Arsenal career?
I think he's the type of player that Arsenal need, definitely. You know, he's a commanding centre-back who's really tall, he's really good in the air. But from what I've seen of him so far, take the Blackburn game for example, he was caught out of position so many times. He was given the run around by Yakubu constantly throughout the whole match.
Yeah.
I think it's time for him to kind of step up. He's a kind of player who doesn't really talk a lot in the defence, which is what you need if you're an Arsenal centre-back. You need somebody with good communication between your keeper, your centre-backs and your full-backs. And I think it's time for him to now start stepping up in the absence of Thomas.
Needs a man of the match performance this weekend.
He does need a man of the match performance, and he needs to justify the reason why Arsene Wenger spent all that money on him. Now Arsenal's defensive problems, there's down to one man who can sort it out. Let's hear what he has to think about Arsenal's defensive problems at the moment.
You look for excuses. We have to sort out our problems that we have in the squad, and at the moment I think not speak too much.
Now Arsenal's odds for this game are 3.6, which are truly amazing given that they can on any day turn up to any ground and perform well. But given their performances this season, if you fancy having a flutter, then it's worth having a bet on Arsenal possibly. But with all the pressure on Tottenham to deliver this weekend, everyone is saying they are going to win this game due to Arsenal's poor performances. Will they find it difficult to beat them?
I think the draw is a fair price as well at 3.7, because that would make it 4 games unbeaten for Arsenal. You know, any team going to White Hart Lane, that would be a decent result, a draw. And I think it allowed them to kick-start the season a little bit more, because it has been a difficult start, and you know there has been pressure on the shoulders of Arsene Wenger.
Yeah.
But he'd be mightily relieved, I think, of a draw at least.
I think it would, especially as they've had their worst start for over 50 years.
Yeah.
They've made domestically. So that's what we think about it. Tell us what you think about it. Send us in your comments or even your videos to better.com, and we'd like to know what you think.